But let's go ahead and get started with this mock draft. And we're going to go take you pick by pick, team by team, and what each team is thinking as the draft progresses. All right, so let's start with pick number one with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's not a lock from what I'm hearing. It used to be a lock that Aiden Hutchinson was going to be the guy. But now Travon Walker is jumping up the draft boards, and people are saying that he could potentially be the number one pick in the draft. Could it happen? Yes, but I believe most people, based off of what analysts are saying, have Aiden Hutchinson ranked as the number one player in this draft. So I'm going to go ahead and say for now, for mock draft 2.0, Aiden Hutchinson is going to get picked by the Jacksonville Jaguars. This was probably given for most people for the last month and a half or so, but Hutchinson locked in as a Jaguars pick with all the additions that they made on that Jaguars offense. They need to address that Jaguars defense. Aiden Hutchinson seems like to be the safest choice in for the number one overall pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, number one, Aiden Hutchinson to the Jags. Now, number two, we've got the Detroit Lions picking now. Travon Walker is being talked about potentially being the number one pick. Some people out there like Todd McShay, I think he has Kyle Hamilton. Maybe it's Mel Kiper that has him going to the Detroit Lions. Other people have Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm going to go ahead and say just because Travon Walker is jumping up the boards, that Travon Walker is going to be drafted by the Detroit Lions. So, you could say, okay, if the Jaguars pick Travon Walker, then the Lions are going to pick Aiden Hutchinson. So I think it's just going to come down to those two, either or. I think the Lions are going to settle with an edge pick with the number two overall pick because they do have the number 32 pick, which they can later on address and grab a wide receiver if they wanted, someone on the offensive line if they wanted, maybe even bolster their defense later on in the draft as well. But for the number two pick, let's say that Travon Walker gets drafted by the Detroit Lions. Now with the number three pick, Hutchinson is gone, Travon Walker is gone. They have a couple of options that they could have that they could draft. Kyle Hamilton being one of, if not the best player in this draft, safest choice for a lot of people. But then they've also got offensive line issues. I know they've got defensive issues as well. This team needs help everywhere. Ike Ekwonu is someone that they've been talked about, like many people have mocked going to the Houston Texans. I'm going to say with Kyle Hamilton still left on that board, the Texans go down the route of drafting Kyle Hamilton, and here's why. The Houston Texans had the number 13 overall pick from that trade with Deshaun Watson. So with the safety position not being as deep as maybe offensive line, the Texans could say, okay, well, with the number three pick, let's go ahead and address our defensive issues, pick Kyle Hamilton, and then later on, we'll just pick the best available offensive tackle, whether that be Charles Cross, whether that be Trevor Penning. If Ike Ekwonu somehow, some way, I don't think it's going to happen. If he falls, hey, awesome. But I think with the number 13 pick, that's the thinking behind the Houston Texans is, okay, it's deeper in offensive line. Let's wait. Let's not jump the gun. Let's wait a bit. Let's see how the draft plays out. For now, let's pick what people are saying is one of the best players in the draft in Kyle Hamilton. So that's the thinking behind that. They also lost Justin Reed, so they need to fill in that void for the Houston Texans. Now with the number 4 pick, the New York Jets. This one is interesting because the Jets have the 4th pick and the number 10 pick. A guy that they're very, very, very interested in. They're actually interested in 2 people. Ahmad Gardner and Jermaine Johnson, the edge rusher from Florida State. So you got to think to yourself, number 4 pick, number 10 pick. If I'm the New York Jets, if I'm Joe Douglas, how do I address this? How can I get both of those players with these top 10 picks? Well, you have to look at the draft board because coming up, you've got the Giants at picking at number 5 and at number 7. And according to rumors and reports out there, the Giants are very interested in Ahmad Gardner. The Jets are very interested in Sauce Gardner as well. So, given that the Giants are picking at number 5 and number 7, they want to make sure that Ahmad Gardner does not slip from their hands. So they go ahead and pick Ahmad Gardner with the number 4 pick. Some people could say this might be an overdraft for Ahmad Gardner. I've seen him like closer towards the end of the top 10 getting picked. But I'm just thinking in the mind of Joe Douglas, like, I want to make sure that he's not taken. Even if I have to overdraft for maybe 3-4 picks, I'm going to make sure that he's on my team. So Ahmad Gardner is going to be pairing up with a lot of people that, some up-and-coming players on the Jets in that secondary, like Michael Carter. He could be pairing with them. Some free agent signings like Jordan Whitehead and the safety. He's going to be a great addition for that secondary for the New York Jets. With the number 10 pick, hopefully the Jets can draft Jermaine Johnson because, like I said, reports are out there saying the Jets want to grab Jermaine Johnson. Number 5, the New York Giants, the first of their 2 first-round picks. Need a lot of help, man. Need wide receiver, need offensive tackle, need some defensive help as well. No offensive tackle has been taken yet, and some people are talking about maybe Ike Ekwonu, maybe it's Evan Neal as the best offensive tackle. Just based off of what I saw draft analysts saying, the majority, and it's just by like a small margin, the majority are saying that Evan Neal is the best tackle in this draft. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the Giants draft Evan Neal. Rumors are out there saying that with their number 5 pick and their number 7 pick, their top 2 picks in the NFL draft, they want to go offensive tackle and cornerback. Well, with Ahmad Gardner gone, all right, let's go ahead and take a tackle for now because the Carolina Panthers are picking at number 6. They're more than likely going to take a tackle if one of the top tackles is available. So let's go ahead and take the best tackle in the draft to make sure that we lock him in. And then at number 7, we can reconsider and draft a cornerback later. So at number 5, I'm going to say that the Giants take Evan Neal, offensive tackle from Alabama. Now at number 6, the Carolina Panthers. Oh my gosh, this is interesting. So Jordan Schultz, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's an NFL insider. He's kind of like an independent guy. Used to work for ESPN. Very knowledgeable, has a lot of sources, and he's accurate about a lot of things. Like very, very cool follow on Twitter. He's been saying that he would be surprised if Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis are not taken. Both are not taken in the top 10. He'd be like, yeah, like many teams get kind of trigger happy. They kind of trade up for these quarterbacks. It's a quarterback friendly league. Like, so don't be surprised if someone pulls the trigger and takes a quarterback or trades up inside of the top 10 to take Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett. The Carolina Panthers are one of those teams that need a quarterback. Sam Darnold can say whatever he wants on Bussin' with the Boys, but the Carolina Panthers are in need of a quarterback at this point. So they could go down the route of Kenny Pickett, who's the top-rated quarterback, consensus quarterback, based off of what analysts are saying. But I think with Ike Ekwonu still available on that board, they want to go ahead and lock in Ekwonu. Quarterback, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really, really freaking tough for the Carolina Panthers. I don't have a trade projected in this mock draft for them, but do not be surprised if the Carolina Panthers trade down from the number 6 pick to acquire more picks because they don't have a second-round pick. They don't have a third-round pick. It's the number 6 pick in the first round, and then a 4th-round pick is their very next pick. So don't be surprised if some people are calling like, hey, you need some draft capital. You want to go ahead and trade down? The Carolina Panthers could be like, oh, yeah, like if we acquire a second-round pick, maybe we can draft a Desmond Ridder or a Matt Corral or a Sam Howell in the second round. So don't be surprised if that happens. But for now, I'm going to say with Ike Ekwonu still available on the board, some people are regarding him as the best tackle in the draft, I'm going to say that they're going to go ahead and draft Ike Ekwonu. So that's my thinking behind the Carolina Panthers. All right, you guys are ready for some drama right here? Some excitement? The number 7 pick is owned by the New York Giants. Now, they like we said earlier with the number 5 pick, took an offensive tackle, and rumors are saying they want offensive tackle and cornerback with their top 2 picks. Well, there is some depth in cornerback in the position. There's Stingley, McDuffie, Andrew Booth as well, Roger McCreary as well. So they could wait a little bit later on in the first round to take a cornerback. I'm the New York Giants. I want a cornerback. I could wait a bit. Which teams are calling me? How about the Baltimore Ravens calling? Because they're inquiring about one player that is falling in draft boards that has one of the best raw talents at the edge position in this draft. Think about Kayvon Thibodeaux falling in this draft and the Ravens calling the New York Giants with the number 14 pick saying, listen, if you need to trade down New York, acquire more picks, I got you. You can pick at the number 14 spot. And we also have 2 third-rounders that we're willing to either offer you a third-rounder or a second-rounder for us to trade up 7 spots to grab a player that is falling in this draft, Kayvon Thibodeaux, to the Baltimore Ravens. So I am projecting a trade to happen between the Giants and the Ravens. The Giants trade their number 7 pick to the Ravens for their number 14 pick and a second-round pick to trade up 7 spots and grab Kayvon Thibodeaux. The first trade of this draft, the Ravens trading up for Kayvon Thibodeaux. If you're a Baltimore Ravens fan watching this video, if you're a New York Giants fan, I'd encourage you guys to go ahead and leave your comments down below. I love to hear your opinions. I love to hear what you guys are feeling in regards to that. All right, the number 8 pick. So we saw one trade happen. Now the Atlanta Falcons are on the board. The Falcons are in need of a lot of positions. Wide receiver, quarterback. But then you could also grab an edge rusher because you need some edge help. Who's the next best available edge rusher? It's Jermaine Johnson. Hold up. What do we say about the New York Jets? They were interested. They are gushing over Jermaine Johnson. This is according to Joe Douglas. Like rumors saying Joe Douglas loves Jermaine Johnson. Hold up. Atlanta, calm down, calm down, calm down. Hello? Yeah, this is Joe Douglas. I don't know how he sounds. Are you interested in trading down to the number 10 pick? Us jumping up 2 spots, and then we can give you our 6th round or a 6th pick in the second round. Because we have 2 picks in the second round, the Jets do. We can afford to trade one of those second round picks to the Atlanta Falcons to move on up 2 spots so that we can lock in Jermaine Johnson. Would you be interested in that? The Falcons? Oh my gosh. Like, if we just trade 2 spots back, which isn't going to hurt us, from the number 8 pick to the number 10 pick, and we get an additional second round pick, yeah, I think at that point, if I'm not mistaken, the Falcons, who already have 2 second round picks, could get 3 second round picks just by trading back 2 spots. So the Falcons are like, heck yeah, let's do this. Jets, perfect. It's a deal. Boom, locking in Jermaine Johnson to the New York Jets. It's a win-win for both teams because the Jets, already with 2 second-round picks, they feel like they don't lose a lot of capital. The Falcons, just 2 spots. There's still going to be some pretty good players available and at pick 10. Sure, and we get an additional second-round pick that we could use later on. So it's a win-win for both teams, and I'm saying that the Jets are drafting Jermaine Johnson. So with the 2 picks for the New York Jets, Ahmad Gardner and Jermaine Johnson. The reason why is because they wanted to jump the Seattle Seahawks, who are at number 9, who need some help at the edge, and they could be taking an edge rusher, so the Jets want to make sure that they lock it in over the Seattle Seahawks. Now with the number 9 pick, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Now, they'd go down the route of drafting Malik Willis. You could, but I'm going to say with Pete Carroll at the league meetings, the league meeting that they have with the coaches and the owners, he went on and on and on about Drew Lock. Maybe he's just saying that because a coach has to back up his players, but he went on about Drew Lock being like, oh, hey, he's actually a pretty decent quarterback. Is he going to be the starter in 2022? I don't know. But based off of what Pete Carroll was saying and how much praise he was giving Drew Lock, that kind of tells me don't overdraft for a quarterback. Like, let's wait in the draft later on. Let's reassess. For now, if Drew Lock is our guy, let's just get him help. So I'm going to say that the Seattle Seahawks are taking the next best offensive tackle, and that's going to be Charles Cross from Mississippi State. They play it safe. It's okay. It's not the sexiest name in the world. I know Seahawks fans want like that Malik Willis, like that surefire, like awesome pick. But let's just play it cool for now. Let's just say that Charles Cross is the guy, the offensive lineman that the draft here. Now at number 10, we had the New York Jets originally, but you remember that trade between the Jets and the Falcons. The Falcons now have the number 10 pick. They could take Malik Willis here. They could take Kenny Pickett. They could take a top quarterback. However, my thinking is with the Falcons being so quick to sign Marcus Mariota, like in a matter of, 45 minutes after trading away Matt Ryan, kind of tells me, okay, they're okay with Marcus Mariota being the quarterback for 2022. Worst case scenario. They have 3 second-round picks now after that trade with the New York Jets. So because of that, I'm going to say they could wait on quarterback later on. Let's go ahead and take some much-needed offensive help at the wide receiver position and take the best wide receiver in this draft, and that is Garrett Wilson from Ohio State. We don't know the future of Calvin Ridley. We don't know if he's going to return after the season. And if you look at the roster of the Atlanta Falcons, Olamide Zaccheaus, Frank Darby, like those guys, no shade towards them, but they're not household wide receiver one names. So the only guy that you have is Kyle Pitts. If you really truly want to roll with Marcus Mariota and Cordero Patterson and Kyle Pitts, then you need some more offensive help for those guys. And Garrett Wilson is going to be a huge step up for the Atlanta Falcons. It's a safe pick. Pick him, and then in the second round with one of those 3 second-round picks, take a quarterback. Desmond Ridder might be available, who the Falcons are actually pretty high on. Sam Howell is recently visiting with the Atlanta Falcons. And then also, they're also interested in Isaiah Spiller, the running back as well. So, in the second round, they could definitely do some damage. Number 11, we've got the Washington Commanders. Now, I cannot see any pick for them outside of a receiver. Maybe if Derek Stingley could be an option, but this offense is one of the reasons why the Commanders for the last couple of years hasn't been as good as you'd hope. Like, this defense has been great. You need to bolster that offense. You need some help for Carson Wentz. Let's get the next best available wide receiver, and that is Drake London. Terry McLaurin might have some contract disputes coming up if they don't want to re-sign him to these this massive deals that wide receivers are getting. You're going to be safe with Drake London being your wide receiver one if Terry McLaurin decides to walk in free agency in the next year or two. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the Commanders are taking Drake London. Now, the Minnesota Vikings are at number 12. Now, this is interesting because rumors are out there saying that the Chargers are wanting an offensive lineman bad in this draft, preferably an offensive tackle because they lost Brian Bulaga. There are rumors out there saying that the Minnesota Vikings could trade down with the Chargers. I don't know what kind of capital the Chargers will give up. They don't have a second-round pick. They'd probably have to give up a first for next year. But if they really like a guy, they're willing to do it. So I think the Chargers are going to call the Minnesota Vikings and ask about that. Say, hey, can we trade up to that number 12 spot? Minnesota Vikings are like, we talked about it before the draft. There was some interest of us trading down. However, Derek Stingley is still available on the board. He's the next best available cornerback. We need cornerback help. Our secondary was getting beat up. Patrick Peterson, we re-signed him to a 1-year deal, but he's not the future. We also lost Jeff Gladney and I think Xavier Woods that they lost in free agency. So we've also added a lot of depth in free agency on that front seven. So we need some help in secondary. So let's just go ahead and draft Derek Stingley and just be safe with that. He's our shutdown corner. We hope for the future. Was great at LSU a couple years ago. Since then has been kind of inconsistent, but hopefully he can go back to his freshman season. Now at number 13, the Houston Texans. We talked about them. All right. So the Chargers are now panicking at number 17. They're like, oh my gosh, we need an offensive tackle. Like the Houston Texans, they could be drafting a tackle here. They call the Texans. hey, Texans, is there anything we can do? We will give you a first round pick next year. What can we do? Like, we want to trade up and grab an offensive tackle. The Texans are like, nah, like this worked out perfectly for us. We got our defensive help and Kyle Hamilton. Now we can grab our offensive lineman. And the next best available offensive tackle is going to be Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa. Many scouts and GMs don't predict him to fall past number 14. So the Texans being at number 13, this makes a lot of sense. Grab Kyle Hamilton. They're going all in on Davis Mills, it seems like. Grab some offensive line help for Davis Mills. So with your first round picks, both of them, defensive cornerstone, offensive line cornerstone, you should be good. The Houston Texans, great pick to get Trevor Penning. Now at number 14, the Giants traded with the Baltimore Ravens early on. The Ravens traded up at number 7 to get Kayvon Thibodeaux. So the Giants now fall to number 14, and we talked about them going back to that rumor out there saying that they want offensive tackle and they want cornerback. They draft the next best available cornerback who had an amazing pro day at Washington. That is Trent McDuffie, who is shooting up draft boards as well. I think they're fine. Again, they could have drafted Derek Stingley, but this cornerback position is pretty deep in this draft class. They're okay with Andrew Booth or Trent McDuffie. So I'm going to go ahead and say they draft the next best available cornerback, and that is Trent McDuffie. So Evan Neal on the offensive line, Trent McDuffie for cornerback, pair him with James Bradberry. You are good to go. Now at number 15, hey, let's have some fun again. Trade number 3 that we project to happen at number 15. So the Philadelphia Eagles, they have a first-round pick next year with this trade with the New Orleans Saints. They had to give up a first-round pick this year. They originally had 3 first-round picks. And a team that is interested in trading up because receivers are dropping like flies to these teams, the Green Bay Packers. Oh, man, you gave up Davante Adams. You need a wide receiver bad. You hit up the Philadelphia Eagles. Hey, your number 15 spot. I know that the Saints, who are at number 16, are interested in a wide receiver. I want to jump ahead of the Saints to grab a wide receiver. Eagles, I am willing to trade you the number 22 pick and the number 28 pick so that we could jump up to the number 15 pick. Eagles, Howie Roseman, number 3 first-round picks. Yeah. They do it. You're in. So the Packers trade their 22nd pick and the 28th pick to move on up to the number 15 pick to draft Jameson Williams. That's right. It could be Chris Olave. I wouldn't be surprised. It could be Drake London if he falls. But Jameson Williams is showing a lot of progress in his ACL recovery. And many experts out there, the receiver rankings, consensus rankings based off of all the experts out there, it's Garrett Wilson, top receiver. Drake London is the second best receiver. And then Jameson Williams is the third best receiver. Number 4 is Chris Olave. So, don't be surprised if it's Chris Olave or Jameson Williams, either or. I feel like the Packers could make a move with those 2 first-rounders to trade up for a wide receiver. And they want to jump the Saints, who are interested in a wide receiver as well. And Jameson Williams is a guy that makes a lot of moves in space with his route running as well, and just like Davante Adams. So at the end of the day, after trading away Davante Adams, acquiring a second-round or first-round pick and a second-round pick for him, and trading up to get Jameson Williams, at the end of the day, they trade Davante for Jameson Williams and a second-round pick. I mean, that's a decent trade. If the Packers can execute this, Davante Adams for Jameson Williams and a second-round pick, I don't think that's a bad move. I really don't. Given that Davante Adams wanted a whole lot of money and looking at salary cap in that instance. So the Packers move on up to number 15 to grab Jameson Williams. If you're a Packers fan, if you're an Eagles fan, and you're mad at me, please comment down below. I want to interact with you guys. Again, I don't know if this is 100% going to be accurate, but I'm just thinking in the heads of general managers and teams and their needs. So just keep that in mind. All right, so at the number 16 spot, we're halfway through this draft. We've got the Saints, who are like, dang it, we need offensive line and we need wide receiver. They're in win now mode. Trading with the Philadelphia Eagles to get 2 first rounders. Many people expect them to trade those 2 first rounders as well to move on up to draft a quarterback. So there's rumors out there that, hey, you could draft a quarterback as well. We need offensive line and wide receiver as our dire needs to help us get into the postseason. But if they were interested, and reports are out there saying that they're interested in trading their first round picks to move on up to get a quarterback, no quarterback has been taken yet. So let's just go ahead and take one right now. Let's take one right now. Let's take Kenny Pickett with the number 16 overall pick. And I say that they take Kenny Pickett here instead of number 19 when they draft a little bit later on, because with the offensive linemen being taken, with the wide receivers being taken, they're just kind of like, okay, let's just take our quarterback for now. And then depending on what the Chargers do at 17, what the Eagles do at 18, who they draft, let's just wait it out. Let's just see what's going to happen. And then we'll take the next best available player or a player that's going to help our team. So for now, let's take Kenny Pickett to be our franchise quarterback for the future. And then let's just wait and see what's going to happen at number 19. Now, at number 17, the Chargers, who wanted to trade up so bad for a tackle, they didn't get it. There's rumors out there saying that they're very interested in Jordan Davis. However, they went so defensive heavy in free agency. Sebastian Joseph Day, Austin Johnson, traded for Khalil Mack. So that defensive line is okay if they pass up on Jordan Davis for now. You really need offensive line help. I mean, your defense is a Super Bowl contending defense. This offense is pretty good, but you need some help for Justin Herbert. You need some protection. It's a little bit of an overdraft, but I'm going to say that the Chargers pick Zion Johnson, and this is the explanation behind that. So Zion Johnson is a offensive lineman for Boston College, and the reason why the Chargers pick Johnson in particular is because he's specifically playing at guard for the most part, but he's played every position on that offensive line. So you could move him to tackle if you so wish to do so. So they added Rashawn Slater last year. You can add another bookend for you on the other side and Zion Johnson, and I think the Chargers are okay with that. It's a little bit of an overdraft because Zion Johnson, many people are talking about, okay, well, he's going to get drafted in the 20s. Maybe he's going to fall outside of the first round. But you got to keep in mind that the Chargers don't have a second round pick. So in one instance here, you could trade down if a team is interested in trading up. But I'm going to go ahead and say that the Chargers are just going to overdraft for now. They're just going to take Zion Johnson. And yeah, many people might like criticize that. Oh, like you could have waited. Well, like he's not going to be around in the 3rd round. So might as well just take him now. So Chargers, Zion Johnson. Number 18, the Philadelphia Eagles, one of their 3 first-round picks after that trade with the Packers. They are being linked to either Devontae Wyatt or Jordan Davis, those 2 Georgia defensive tackles. Jordan Davis is the consensus defensive tackle. Many people have ranked as a number 1 defensive tackle. Many people might say Devontae Wyatt as well, but for the most part, many people are saying Jordan Davis is the defensive tackle. So I'm going to say that the Philadelphia Eagles draft Jordan Davis here. And to help out their defensive line, Fletcher Cox, you re-sign him to a 1-year deal, but you release Fletcher Cox, and then you couldn't really, you were like, oh man, well, we need defensive line help, and then you re-sign him. I think it was just for salary cap issues. I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning behind that was. But Jordan Davis is going to be your defensive tackle for the future, hopefully having a career like Fletcher Cox for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now the Saints. We talked about how they need an offensive lineman and a wide receiver. You got Kenny Pickett. You're locked in for the future. You're good. Now they see that the Philadelphia Eagles did not draft a wide receiver, which they could have, in helping or be side by side Devontae Smith. So they're going to go ahead and take the next best available wide receiver and Chris Olave, who has a lot of talent. He's fallen to the number 19 pick. So the Saints are saying, okay, let's go ahead and draft him. And then later on, we could go ahead and draft someone else. Because if I'm looking at the picks for the New Orleans Saints right here, they have the 17th pick in the 2nd round. A guy that they're very interested in, according to draft rumors out there, is Tyler Smith. is an offensive tackle. Could play guard, could play tackle. So I think the Saints want to target Tyler Smith later on in the second round. They could trade up to grab him if they feel like someone else is going to draft him. But Tyler Smith is going to be their offensive line help later on in the draft. For now, you get your quarterback in the future, and then you get your wide receiver of the future in Chris Olave with the number 19 pick. Now, with the number 20 pick, this might be a surprise if this happens because, again, a lot of people get trigger happy with quarterbacks in the draft. But Malik Willis, if he's available for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are high on him, you need a quarterback. I think Malik Willis is the best choice for the Steelers at this point. I can't really think of many other options. If this all plays out the way that this draft does, and Malik Willis is still available on the board at number 20, I can't really think of anyone too much worthy of drafting over Malik Willis. So I'm going to say that the Steelers grab Willis to be their quarterback of the future. Is he going to start over Mitchell Trubisky? I don't know. But he's going to definitely be an asset for the Steelers in the future. Now at number 21, the New England Patriots are drafting here, and I think they're locked in. They are locked in at linebacker because they lost Jamie Collins, Dante Hightower, and they released Kyle Van Noy as well. So the next best available linebacker, actually the first linebacker to be drafted in this draft class, in this mock draft, is Devin Lloyd from Utah. I made this joke last week where if you want your kid to be a star linebacker in the NFL, just name him Devin, like Devin White, Devin Bush, and now you have Devin Lloyd as being the best linebacker out of Utah. So the Patriots, if they draft Devin Lloyd, and it could be Nakobe Dean as well, whoever the best linebacker is in your opinion, whichever linebacker goes in that defense, I 100% see a few Pro Bowls out of them in their NFL career. So they're going to have a great career if a linebacker goes to that Patriots defense. Now the next pick, the number 22 pick, originally held by the Green Bay Packers, but if you remember our trade, the Philadelphia Eagles traded with the Packers, and now the Eagles hold this pick. They also need some linebacking help. They also need some edge help. They need some safety help. They need help on that defense. So I'm going to say that they draft the second defensive player for their draft. Already drafted Jordan Davis. The next defensive player for them is going to be Nakobe Dean. Devin Lloyd gets taken. Nakobe Dean is available. He gets taken. Many people are saying that he was probably the anchor of that Georgia defense, like he was the leader and the smarts behind that defense as well. So Nakobe Dean is going to be the pick for the Philadelphia Eagles at number 22 in this mock draft. I'm not saying like it's going to happen. I'm saying in this mock draft could be an option. All right, the Arizona Cardinals. This is a very interesting team at number 23 because I feel like the best thing for the Cardinals to do, draft an offensive lineman. Oh my gosh, Kyler Murray was running around so much because the offensive line towards the end of the season was not really stepping up as they hoped. So some offensive linemen out there, Kenyon Green is still available. Bernard Raymond is still available. But you have to look at the draft board and who's still available for to be drafted. And one of the best players that is falling right now is Devontae Wyatt. Well, listen, you need some defensive tackle help. Let's address offensive line later on. Let's worry about that later. For now, let's go ahead and draft the best player available, and that is Devontae Wyatt from Georgia. Pair him up with J.J. Watt. You need some edge help as well. You lost Chandler Jones. They could go George Karlaftis, but the defensive line really needs some help. I'm going to get some probably some crap from some Arizona Cardinals fans from not drafting an offensive lineman here. But Devontae Wyatt, like, just play the draft board. Like, play the draft. Best player available. He's falling. Let's get Devontae Wyatt so no other team can get him. He's going to be a generational talent. It's going to help us for many, many years. Number 24, the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones is known for doing outlandish things, right? Last year, well, this was actually a very good pick. He drafted Micah Parsons when they really didn't need linebacking help. Micah Parsons came in and was actually a force for the Dallas Cowboys. They drafted the best player available. Well, now at the number 24 pick, people are saying, the Cowboys are rumored to draft a wide receiver. I don't know, man. Traylon Burks is available. Jahan Dotson is available. George Pickens, Wan'Dale Robinson. Like, there's some people available. Sky Moore. I don't think that they do that. I think that they go down the safe route, and the best route for them is after losing Connor Williams, after losing La'el Collins, you need to solidify that line. So the Dallas Cowboys draft Kenyon Green, the next best available offensive lineman, who's a guard. So that's going to replace the role of Connor Williams that you lost, who signed with the Miami Dolphins earlier this offseason. So Kenyon Green from Texas A&M is going to be the pick for the Dallas Cowboys in my mock draft. Number 25, the Buffalo Bills. Okay, Bills fans, Bills Mafia, overdraft. I'm going to go ahead and say this. This is an overdraft. But again, looking at the case of the Chargers, that was kind of an overdraft as well. You have to look at your draft capital. How much spaces or spots do you have between your pick currently and the next pick that you have? So the Buffalo Bills need some help, maybe at cornerback. They could draft a wide receiver if they wanted to. But an interesting thing that Sean McDermott stated in that league meeting with the owners and the coaches, he stated to the media that he wants Josh Allen to run less. All right, well, how do you do that? You need some running back help. There's no way around it. Get a guy that could be a 3-down back that you hand the ball off to and could open up things for you. I'm going to explain a little bit more in depth on this, but I'm going to go ahead and say that the Buffalo Bills draft Breece Hall, the first running back off the board from Iowa State. Hall is being talked about like he's a 3-down back. I think LaDainian Tomlinson as well, a former NFL running back, all-star, all-pro running back, is saying and giving his due diligence for Breece Hall and saying that he's going to be a massive addition to any team and a 3-down back for any team. Now, the explanation behind Breece Hall is Devin Singletary, they were using him as a 3-down back towards the end of the season. Like, he was getting 20 touches a game. And I don't think Devin Singletary is designed to be that kind of guy. So, Zach Moss has also been a healthy scratch. That experiment, it's over, it seems like, for the Buffalo Bills. They're not a believer in Zach Moss. Breece Hall could be a pass catcher as well, could be a runner in between the tackles. And in that AFC Championship game, not the AFC Championship, but the divisional game against the Kansas City Chiefs, Devin Singletary rushed for 26 yards on 10 carries. That's not going to cut it. And you would think that if you had someone maybe with a little bit more talent on the ground carrying the ball in that divisional round, maybe instead of 26 yards on 10 carries, maybe 44 yards on 10 carries, maybe 50 yards on 10 carries. Many people could argue that, well, the Buffalo Bills might have won that game. So I'm going to say it's a little bit of an overdraft, but that's my explanation. That's my reasoning. The Buffalo Bills draft Breece Hall with the number 25 pick. All right, so the number 26 pick, this is owned by the Tennessee Titans. Titans could go down multiple routes. They need some help on defense. They need some help in the wide receiver position as well. But remember Joe Douglas, our guy, who's been trading already in the first round of the top 10. He is gushing. That is the word that is being thrown around in rumors. He is gushing over Treylon Burks. How do we make this happen? Okay, well, the Jets already traded one of their second-round picks to the Atlanta Falcons. They still have another second-round pick. Hey, Tennessee, are you interested in trading down? I will give you the second-round pick that we have, which is the third pick in the second round. Not bad at all. That's pretty much a first-round pick, like a first-round talent that you get. And I'm willing to trade you a first-round pick for next year as well. Tennessee, who got beat up from this Julio Jones trade, didn't work out for them. It's like, oh man, second-round pick? We could use a second-round pick. And a first-round pick from next year? From the New York Jets, who, I mean, if history tells us anything, could have an early pick next year, maybe. I don't know. Sure, we're willing to trade down a few spots. I don't know how many spots it is. Maybe it's 8 or 9 spots, but we get a first-round pick for next year. Let's do it. So the Jets trade up to the number 26 pick, and they grab Treylon Burks, wide receiver from Arkansas. Joe Douglas is making moves in this draft, in our mock draft at least, because they have the draft capital and they're just sold on these players. You get wide receiver help. So just to recap for the New York Jets. For the number 4 pick, Ahmad Gardner, get your cornerback. The number 8 pick, they traded up, Jermaine Johnson, get some edge help. The number 26 pick, Treylon Burks, get some offensive weapons for Zach Wilson. So wide receiver, a cornerback, and an edge, all in the first round for the New York Jets. And all it costed them, second round picks and a first rounder next year. But they're willing to get their guys right now and build around them. And then they're going to worry about the future later on. So I say that the Jets trade a second rounder and their first round pick for next year to move on up with the Tennessee Titans. Now at number 27, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They desperately need some cornerback help, some secondary help, because for the past 2 years, that has been the Achilles heel. That has been one of the reasons why the Buccaneers have been faltering so much. I mean, Cooper Kupp down the field when Matthew Stafford was in the clutch and Matt Gay kicked that game-winning field goal with just seconds remaining. Secondary was the main cause of them losing that game. So they need some secondary help, and I'm going to say that Andrew Booth, the next best available cornerback, is going to be drafted out of Clemson by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hopefully it can be a lockdown corner. We will see. But Booth, very talented guy. He's going to be drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this mock draft. At number 28, again, this was originally owned by the Green Bay Packers, but with that trade with the Philadelphia Eagles, the Eagles now have their third first-round pick of the draft. They need some edge help. They need some safety help. So 2 guys that they could be looking at if this mock draft plays out like this. Dax Hill from Michigan at safety. But then also a guy that's been falling in this draft is George Karlaftis from Purdue. The Greek Freak could be drafted here by the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to go ahead and say that they grab him, get their edge help. So just to kind of recap the Eagles and their draft so far, if this trade happens with the Green Bay Packers and those 3 first-round picks are an option for the Philadelphia Eagles, they draft Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, and George Karlaftis. So that is 3 players right there in the front 7, an all-defensive draft for the Philadelphia Eagles. I know it'd be nice to get like Chris Olave. I know it'd be nice to get maybe, even with the 28 pick right here, who's available on the board, Jahan Dotson maybe. It's nice, but if you solidify your defense, like I know a lot of Eagles fans out there are saying like, man, if we can get all 3 defensive players in this draft, or just 2 defensive players, whatever it may be, in the first round, I would be happy with that. And I think Eagles fans would be happy if they end up with 3 first-round talents on that defense. 29 and 30 is owned by the Kansas City Chiefs. So it doesn't really matter who picks who in what order. But the Chiefs, after that trade with Tyreek Hill, they have a pick available here. And I'm going to say that the Chiefs draft David Ojabo, an edge rusher from Michigan who has a torn Achilles, I understand, but doctors are already projecting him to have a great recovery in the process of this torn Achilles, like something similar to maybe Cam Akers, who came back in superhuman time in 4 months, or whatever it was like. David Ojabo, maybe his 2022 season is in doubt. Maybe he doesn't even play at all. I don't know, but I still feel like that this is a first-round talent that could have top 15 upside if he didn't get hurt. And the Chiefs are one of those teams that's talented enough to make the Super Bowl. Well, okay, if you're talented enough to make the Super Bowl, that means you can take a little bit of a risk on some players. And if they don't play in 2022, that's okay. You're just preparing for the future. You have that risk that you can take. So David Ojabo is a player that they could draft on the edge. Now at pick 30, I apologize if I'm pronouncing his name incorrectly, but Jalen Peter, I want to say, is a safety that could be drafted, that many people are saying that the Chiefs are interested in him. I think he plays at Baylor. But the Chiefs have their eye on him. Could be a second rounder for the Kansas City Chiefs, because they need some help to replace Tyrann Mathieu. They signed Justin Reed in the safety position as well. But I think with Dax Hill still available and on the board, why not just go ahead and pick the second best safety in this draft class, and that is Dax Hill from Michigan. Jalen Peter would be nice, but I mean, you don't want to pass up on someone that's been falling like Dax Hill. Let's go ahead and draft him. Let's get that safety help. Let's go ahead and replace Tyrann Mathieu's role and get Dax Hill. So the 2 picks for the Kansas City Chiefs, David Ojabo and Dax Hill. Number 31, again, the first round. This is where you got to draft some players late in the first round that are falling. Tyler Linderbaum is a center from Iowa. Very talented guy. And as far as interior offensive lineman goes, he's one of, if not the best, interior offensive lineman in this draft. I'm going to say that the Bengals go ahead and draft him because they did sign Ted Karras to play center from New England. However, Ted Karras also has some experience playing guard, so they could shift Ted Karras to guard, play Linderbaum at center. Why does Linderbaum fall so far in this draft, and why is he not being taken over players like Zion Johnson? Why not players over Kenyon Green? Well, it's because Linderbaum, his whole career, has played center and center only. That's all he's familiar with. That's where he's best at. And those teams didn't really necessarily need a center in particular. One of those picks for the Philadelphia Eagles, you could say they could take Tyler Linderbaum because Jason Kelce, you don't know what his future is going to look like. You don't know when he's going to retire. So you could take him to be your center of the future. So I could see the Eagles taking him, but I think if the Bengals at 31 see that Tyler Linderbaum is still available, got to grab him, get your center, and you'll be fine on that offensive line. Now at number 32, the Detroit Lions could go down a couple of different routes. They have this pick after trading away Matthew Stafford. They could get a wide receiver. They could get Jahan Dotson. They could get Wan'Dale Robinson, which rumors are out there saying that they're very interested in Robinson. George Pickens as well. But they also had the number 34 pick, just in 2 picks. Well, reports out there are saying that Quay Walker, the linebacker from Georgia, is an option for the Jaguars in the second round. The Lions need a linebacker. So if you're just picking 32, Jaguars pick 33, and the Lions pick at 34, just 2 picks away from each other, and the Jaguars are interested in Quay Walker, I'm going to go ahead and say that the Lions pick Quay Walker for now so that they can grab him ahead of the Jaguars. Jaguars can grab whoever else they need to get. And then at number 34, the Lions could pick a wide receiver with that pick. So they don't want to get too crazy. Get Quay Walker. The term, I guess, cock block is what you could use for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They cock block the Jaguars from getting Quay Walker. And then at 34, the Lions could draft their guy. So that's what I have for this first round of the mock draft. And then you can kind of see on your screen as well, the second round, a little bit of that. You can see that the Tennessee Titans are picking in the second round after that trade with the New York Jets. And then a little bit later on, the Atlanta Falcons have a pick, the number 6 pick in the second round from the New York Jets as well. But that's my mock. So again, I don't expect this to be 100% accurate. I know for sure it's not going to be, but no mock draft in this world ever is. But this is just pretty much telling you, okay, these are options for these teams. Like based off of the rumors and the reports that we're hearing, based off of teams' tendencies, based off the players that teams are interested in, this could happen. These could be trades that teams could make as well. So I encourage you guys to please leave your comments down below. Let us know your thoughts. I would love to hear from you guys. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel as well. We're going to be coming out with mock drafts every single week. Next week is going to be our mock draft 3.0. And then the week after that, during the NFL draft, we're actually going to have a live reaction show. It's so much fun. I encourage you guys to tune into that while you guys are watching the first round of the NFL draft. Also, search for us on the podcast app on your phone. Just search Time to Football. Listen to us on the go if you wanted to. With all that said, leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next week. Take care.